The Galaxy Council chamber was filled with noise. Hundreds of alien leaders argued over a single problem: humanity. For years, humans had grown stronger, spreading across the stars faster than anyone expected. Some called them brave, others called them dangerous. But today, the Council wanted control. At the center of the shining hall stood the human ambassador, tall, calm, and silent. His eyes looked around the room not with fear but with quiet strength. The oldest alien leader spoke, his voice echoing through the chamber. Humans will follow the Council's order, or they will face consequences. Everyone waited for the human's answer. But instead of bowing or pleading, he simply said, "Humanity refuses." The words were small, but they hit the hall like thunder. The crowd fell silent. Every alien in the chamber turned to look at him, as if they had just heard something impossible. The ambassador didn't explain, didn't defend. He only stared back at them, his voice steady. "We asked for peace. You chose control. We will choose freedom." Outside the council hall, massive human ships floated in the dark space, silent, powerful, waiting. Their lights blinked like cold stars, ready for whatever would come next. The other races whispered among themselves. They knew humans were bold, but this was madness. As the ambassador walked out, his footsteps echoed in the silence. The council members felt an uneasiness spreading through their hearts. They had seen many wars, many rebellions, but never had they seen humans walk away from the table of peace with such quiet confidence. And far beyond the stars, the storm had already begun to move. After the human ambassador left the great chamber, the Galaxy Council remained in silence. The bright hall, once filled with voices, now felt heavy and cold. No one spoke. The aliens looked at each other, unsure what to do next. For the first time in centuries, the Council had been defied, openly, fearlessly, and by a species they had once called primitive. On the outer rim of the galaxy, human fleets moved quietly. Thousands of ships glided through the dark, keeping their positions without a single signal. It was a silence that felt alive, the kind of silence that comes before something powerful happens. Commanders across human colonies received only one message from Earth: hold the line, no one fires first. Meanwhile, in the Council's war chamber, panic grew. Some alien leaders wanted to send a warning fleet to Earth. Others begged for negotiation. But fear had already spread like fire. They had seen the humans build, fight, and survive where no other race could. If humans were truly ready for war, the galaxy would bleed. On a distant planet, a young alien officer watched the human ships from his scanner. He whispered to himself, "They are not preparing to attack. They are waiting." Back on Earth, under the glowing clouds of the northern sky, families watched the news in silence. They didn't cheer for war. They only hoped the Council would understand that humanity would never kneel. And across the stars, that quiet moment stretched longer than anyone expected. The galaxy held its breath, not knowing that the real storm, the one no one could stop, was only beginning to rise. The news of humanity's refusal spread like fire through the galaxy. Every world, every station, every outpost whispered the same words. Humans said no. It was a phrase that carried shock, fear, and curiosity. In places where humans had once been seen as allies, doubt began to grow. Could this small young race truly stand against the ancient powers of the galaxy? In the deep council headquarters, the alien leaders met again. The Supreme Chancellor, a being with crystal skin and glowing eyes, slammed his hand on the table. "We cannot let them go unpunished. If one species breaks our law, others will follow." His voice shook the chamber. But another leader, older and wiser, spoke softly. "You do not understand humans. Threats will not make them obey. It will only make them stronger." Far away aboard the human flagship Erebus, Commander Riley stood on the bridge. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, each one reflecting off the ship's dark armor. "No movement from the Council fleets," the officer reported. Riley nodded. "Good, let them think we are afraid. The quieter we are, the more they will fear us." Every human soldier, every pilot, every colony waited in silence, a silence filled with determination. Humanity didn't want war, but they were ready for it. Meanwhile, alien news networks showed endless debates. Some called for peace, some wanted immediate action, but deep in their hearts, most species already knew the truth. Once humanity made a choice, there was no turning back, and somewhere beyond the stars, something unseen stirred, a force older than the Council itself, watching, waiting, and whispering, "The humans have awakened." The galaxy had fallen into uneasy silence. Weeks passed, but the Council still hadn't acted. Every world waited, wondering which side would make the first move. Then, without warning, a small human outpost near the edge of Council space went dark. No signal, no survivors, only fragments of metal drifting in the void. When the report reached Earth, the message was short. They struck first. Inside the Human Defense Command, tension filled the air. Generals and diplomats argued, but Commander Riley only stared at the holographic map. Red markers blinked where the outpost had been. "So," he said quietly, "the Council has chosen." Within hours, fleets across human colonies powered up. Engines roared, lights flickered, and ships disappeared into the black sea of stars. No battle cries, no speeches, only silent readiness. Humanity moved like a storm, hiding in the dark. Meanwhile, inside the Council chambers, fear began to rise again. The alien leaders received reports of human fleets advancing, not to attack, but to surround. Entire sectors were being sealed off with perfect coordination. "They are not fighting," one general said nervously. "They are preparing to end us without firing a shot." Across the galaxy, civilians watched the skies. Human signals replaced Council broadcasts. Calm voices spoke a simple message. "We do not seek war, but we will not be ruled." And for the first time, the mighty Council realized what they were truly facing. Not a violent race, but a united one. In the darkness beyond their vision, the human flagship Erebus turned its hull toward the core worlds. The engines burned like blue suns. Commander Riley's voice echoed through the fleet. "They fired the first shot. We'll write the last." The first real battle began on the edge of the Orion Belt. A massive Council fleet appeared out of warp, shining with hundreds of ships from dozens of alien races. They expected fear. Instead, they found silence. No human voice replied to their warnings, no weapon fired first. For hours, both sides waited like two storms staring at each other. Then the first shot came, not from humanity but from the Council. A beam of light tore across space and hit a human cruiser. The ship vanished in flame. The silence broke. In a heartbeat, the darkness of space came alive. Human ships moved in perfect formation, faster and sharper than anyone had imagined. Railguns fired, missiles streaked, and blue plasma cut through the void like lightning. The aliens tried to fight back, but the humans didn't fight for conquest. They fought for survival. Every move, every strike was planned. Commander Riley stood at the center of the storm aboard the Erebus. "Target their command ships," he ordered. "End their control." Within minutes, the alien flagship was destroyed. The Council fleet scattered, leaderless and afraid. News of the human victory spread faster than light. Across alien worlds, fear turned into disbelief. The Council had lost, not just a battle, but their image of power. Humanity had done what no one thought possible. They had faced the galaxy and stood unbroken. As the smoke cleared, the human fleet didn't chase the survivors. They held position, silent again, as if saying, "We warned you." Far away, the Council's capital world flickered with panic. The ancient rulers whispered in dread, realizing that the age of their control was ending, and a new power had risen among the stars. The stars were quiet again. The battle was over, but the echoes of war still rolled through the galaxy. The Council fleets had fallen back, broken and silent. Entire systems that once feared humanity now sent messages of peace. For the first time in history, the galaxy looked to Earth, not with arrogance but with respect and fear. Inside the Grand Council Hall, the remaining leaders sat in silence. The once bright chamber was dim now, its banners torn, its pride gone. The Supreme Chancellor stared at the hologram of Earth. "They were supposed to be guided," he said bitterly, "not become our equals." But somewhere in those words was the truth. Humanity had not sought to rule. They had simply refused to kneel. In orbit above Earth, the flagship Erebus drifted peacefully. Commander Riley watched the sun rise over the blue planet below. "No victory songs?" one officer asked. Riley smiled faintly. "No, we don't celebrate fear. We celebrate freedom." Across the stars, human colonies rebuilt what had been lost. Soldiers returned home, and the people of Earth looked up at the night sky, knowing the universe had changed forever. The Council's control was broken, But humanity did not claim their throne. They offered something new: cooperation, not domination. Soon, messages came from alien worlds asking to join Earth's new alliance, one based on equality, not fear. Humanity had proven that strength was not just in weapons but in will. As the sun rose higher, the golden light touched the hull of the Erebus, marking the beginning of a new era.